Hello, wanted to share with you, you know, um, recently a 14-year-old young man, that was excited and inspired to play football, and he was actually doing that, and he went to Florida, Orlando, Florida, and he did not make it back home. Rest in peace, condolences to the family. And I did not do a video originally, but I was doing a little reading and found out that there's not only that happened to him, but there's other children that have died at different amusement parks, across the United States. And I think that as parents, we have to ever be so careful about putting our children on these rides. And we know that these rides are supposed to be safe. And it's not to point the finger or blame any parent. So I want to make that clear. But what I'm finding out is that these rides, you have operators that really have not been trained, or they're trying to appease the family or the child to allow them to ride on a ride. And they're even manipulating some of the restraints or the seat in order for children to ride, or they bypass, the criteria that can keep a child safe and to make sure that they've had a great time and that they come home to be able to talk about the great time they had with their family, being able to make memories. And so I wanted to bring this up because there was a boy who was 10 years old, and him and his brother got on this particular ride, and they got on this ride, and it's called the Slitter Bomb Water Park, is where they were at, and they actually did an interview with Good Morning America some time ago, I believe in 2017. And so the father and his wife spoke out. And now, the day that they went to this park, they were honoring the, uh, legislators or whatnot, families. It was like called, it was a free day for state legislators. And this water park is again called the Slitterbond Water Park in Kansas City, Kansas. And so he is Kansas Representative Scott Swab, and he was describing the day that him and his family and his wife and four sons had went to the park. Now, I actually would, before I get into the article, I was actually reading some comments on the article, and they said that actually he voted against the legislative to have, uh, you know, to have these rights, safe and sanctioned, and to put a limit on some of these rights, basically. And so this right, so he voted against it, okay? But then when his child was, I would say, unalived, I got that from another YouTuber, and I don't want to steal, their word, but the other word starts with a K. Is just so harsh, you know what I mean? But anyway, he didn't make it out. But the representative, from what I read, was reading these comments, and they were saying that he voted against, some sanctions. He voted against it. But then when his child, when it happened to one of his family members, it was actually his biological one of his sons. Then all of a sudden it becomes a problem, and he's going to see to it that this ride is decommissioned, that it'll never be, be able to be in commission again, and that they're actually suing other people besides the park. And so let me get into this article with you. And so I just wonder, you know, he didn't think about anybody else at the time that he was, refusing to pass, a bill or laws for to make sure that these rides were safe in these amusement parks. He didn't bother to do that. But now his child, what happened with his child. So it made me think about this and said, okay, so we have to make sure that when we pass laws and when people are asking us to get permits for things and bring it to our cities and communities, we have to look at the big picture. The big picture is, how is it going to affect humanity? How is it going to affect everyone? or am I just passing this because I can get bring money to the city? You know, there's a lot of perks involved. And I'm telling you, I in my community, I've even fought with the engineering of the city, and battling, trying to make sure that we are safe and the students that walk down this road, is safe, because we get a lot of speeders and people wanting to race down this particular street here, this road, because it's a road. And so, and I think that we have to look at the big picture. It can't just be about us. When we're looking at, when we are people that have the power to pass or deny laws, or mandates for cities. And so when I thought about this, I was like, so if the people that are talking about this that are from that area are saying that this representative, he refused to pass laws that would save people's lives, but yet and still it happened to his child, his own child. And there were some people saying about, it's karma and it's just coming back on him. But sometimes, God will bring back to memory things that you should have done right and you didn't. And sometimes God has to teach us by our own decisions we've made in the past. And I'm not mocking, because rest in peace, no one should lose a family member. But we got to look at humanity when we're looking at these laws. So let me just read what this says right here. Now, this was on August 7th, 2016, um, when the child rode on the park's 168-foot tall Baruch, and it's in German, it means insane. It's a water slide. And the Baruch is the largest of its kind in the world. Now, this man, Mr. Swab, said as soon as they got to the water park, his sons, they headed straight for the famous Baruch ride. And so his dad offered the standard reminder to them, telling them, brothers, stick together. And so the son said, I know, Dad. Look at me, brothers, stick together. Now, while him and his wife were tending to the younger children, his oldest son, once he got to the bottom of the slide, he waited for his brother. And then he told his parents something had happened to his brother. And he was screaming. And he said he flew from the Baruch. He flew from the Baruch, is what his mother, Michelle, recalled. And they said that the young boy was decapitated on the ride. Now, there was a gentleman who wouldn't allow me to come close. This is what the father is saying, to see what was going on. He just kept saying, trust me, you don't want to go any farther. And his wife said, I kind of knew in my mind that I shouldn't see it, that I probably don't want to see it. And so Mr. Schwab said his shock was so deep, he demanded a good Samaritan confirm the incomprehensible for him. And he said, I just need to hear you say, is my son dead? And he just shook his head and said it again. I need to hear it from you. Is my son dead? And he said, yes, your son's dead. And he said that in the months after the tragedy, the family members, especially the three surviving brothers, soothed themselves by watching videos of Caleb. But for the parents, it can be overwhelming. There's times when it's like, I can't look at that right now. And there's other times when you can't sleep and you want to look at it. The Swabs decided to break their silence to express their gratitude for all the support that has flooded in from around the world. Now, you might remember this, where this kid was, what happened to him or not. He said that they received, greeting cards and all of that, and they just want to let people know they're grateful and that they're still hurting, but they're going to be okay. Now, the Swab said they called Caleb Monkey Bear because he loved to snuggle and that he liked giving hugs. Now, they did reach a settlement of an undisclosed amount with the park's owners and the ride's manufacturer that will go to his brothers. And the attorneys for the family, Mike Rader and Todd Scharnholz, told ABC News all claims against the local amusement park, as well as the raft manufacturer, have been resolved, is what the attorneys are saying. But the family is going to continue to pursue claims against a Texas-based company Henry and Sons, which constructed the Varuk, as well as claims against a consultant who evaluated the slide before being open to the public. Now, I want to stop right there because as I read that, I thought about did he really vote against the safety, laws that could have been put in place, especially a ride that tall? Could he have done that? I mean, I'm just saying allegedly based on what some of the commenters said according to this article. But could he have put laws in place, passed those laws? Why were he so against them? And a lot of times it's because of money that's involved and, perks and, notoriety and different things like that when you're dealing with politicians. And so this is alleged, you know what I'm saying? Because I definitely don't want to see anyone lose a family member and at all, period. I don't care what age, that they are when something like this tragically happens. But it goes to show you that, you know, he's now going after all of these people, but did he really vote against these laws that could have prevented, you know, preventive measures in place? And so it says Rader and Scharnhorst added while trying to piece their lives back together and while pursuing claims against responsible parties, they're committed to ensuring this slide never operates again and that rules are implemented requiring close oversight of amusement parks. And they were saying that he voted against those oversights. And I wonder really how true that is. And I was trying to look up the information to find it and I was not able to, but just based on the article, you know, of the commenters that live in that community that know about it, they are clearly saying that he voted against oversight. He voted against that. That could have saved probably his own child's life. So as a result of their efforts, the Varuk has been decommissioned and will be dismantled once litigation concludes. The push for close governmental oversight will continue. No criminal charges have been filed in the case. Now, the water park spoke out and said that they were, definitely heartbroken over the tragedy that occurred. And they said that in the 50 years that they have been providing an for families and friends together, they've never experienced this kind of devastating event. And they go on to say the safety of their staff and the guests is their top priority. You know, they take safety seriously. They support effective guidelines that increase guest and staff safety. And it is their hope that having fully cooperated with all investigative teams for all affected parties, that if additional measures are identified that could increase safety of future amusement and water park rides, that both industry and government will work together on effective solutions. Safety is and always has been our top priority. We continue to review our safety procedures and, as we do every year, enlist an outside third party to confirm that we have and continue to have best in class safety protocols at every one of our parks. Now, like I said, there were a lot of people that commented, and like I said, they were saying he voted against it. And it's really sad that if he did do that, allegedly, because it could have saved his own child's life. And then I actually saw another article where a 6-year-old girl, she was never strapped in to her seat before the fatal amusement park ride. And this is coming from a report from ABC News as well. And this was in September. This report came out, this article, September 25th, 2021. And it says a 6-year-old girl who died on a ride at a Colorado amusement park earlier this month was never strapped into her seat, but that was back in, 2021. And so two operators failed to notice even after a monitor alerted them to a seatbelt safety issue before the ride plunged 110 feet. Now, Wongo Estefanos was visiting Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park, located atop Iron Mountain in Glenwood Springs, with her family on September 5th when she went on the haunted mine drop ride, a free fall drop down a pitch black shaft. Now, after reviewing video surveillance and operating manuals, investigators with the Colorado Division of Oil and Public Safety determined that when Wongo got on the ride, she sat in a previously unoccupied seat on top of two already locked seat belts, and that multiple operator errors and inadequate training contributed to the fatal accident, according to a report released Friday. Now, the girl was only holding the tail of one seatbelt across her lap, but when checking her seat, a ride operator did not notice that the seatbelts were not positioned across her lap, according to the report. The ride's control panel alerted the operator to an error with one of the seatbelts on Wango's seat, indicating that that seatbelt had not been properly unlocked after the previous ride cycle, according to the report. The operator returned multiple times to check the seatbelt and buckled it to no avail, but did not believe the error because they were convinced the restraint had been cycled, the report stated. Um, so a second ride operator then unlocked the seatbelts using a manual switch, clearing the error on the ride's control system without unloading passengers to determine what the issue was, the report stated. And now I'm going to stop right there because they manually cleared it. And when you manually clear something, you have to make sure that things are going to work right, that things are going to be safe when you manually clear something. And that's something that I know that really people try to, and I think in my experience and just dealing with things, try to prevent, you try to prevent that and you try to not do it manually. You try everything through through the process before you do something manually. Because when you do something manually, you're overriding things and, overriding things. And that's what they did. And so since they overrode this thing, they never resolved the problem. And so that she was not wearing her seatbelt, that it wasn't fastened. And it demonstrated that the operator did not have a complete understanding of the control system safety indicators, according to the report. And what they really should have done is cleared everyone off the ride and said, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I have to clear the ride because we need to make sure that the ride, that we clear everything because there could have been any type of malfunction. So they should have not manually cleared anything. They should have went through the process, and so they did not. And it says the second operator also checked the girl's seatbelt, but did not notice that neither of the seatbelts were positioned across her lap. So they didn't even notice that. They just um, didn't notice it. So with no error on the control panel, the second operator was then able to dispatch the ride you know. And because Miss Estefanos was not restrained in the seat, she became separated from her seat and fell to the bottom of the haunted mine drop shaft, resulting in her death, the report stated. And so operators are not formally trained, is what they're saying, to unbuckle all seatbelts following each ride, though it was common practice and one that the first operator performed inconsistently on earlier rides, according to the report. So um, that was the practice to perform inconsistently, and that right there really should hold these operators accountable as well as the park, because if you are not training these people and you're not giving them the proper training, and who is the person that's in the park that's overseeing that these rides, the operators are doing their job effectively and consistently, consistently. So where are they? Do we ever see anyone walking around? I've been to several amusement parks, but I don't get on the rides. I'm just going to tell you that. I might ride, what is it, the merry-go-round thing, but I don't really get on those rides because I don't like that. But anyway, and it's my own personal reasons why I will not do that. Uh, but anyway, I just think that there should be someone walking around overseeing what these operators are doing on these rides, because no one should die at an amusement park. And I'm just going to keep it real because it's a sad day for everyone when stuff like this happens. And keeping your children safe, being very careful. And I know you don't want to hold them hostage and put a restraint on everything that a child, can or cannot do, because you do want your children to grow up healthy and be able to have memories and talk about it and have fun when you go to amusement parks, not just eat, but to be able to play games and get on some of the rides. I also want to say that sometimes these rides are just not for children. And again, I don't want to, bash any parents or anything. They're suffering enough when you lose a loved one. But some children, like at the age of 6 years old, I wouldn't have never allowed a child of mine ever to get on a ride at 6 years of age, especially something like that. And even with the other article, the other article I was speaking of, he was 10 and he got on a 168-foot ride. I just don't think that I would be comfortable with that, with my child doing that. And so um, People may say, well, you're a fuddy-duddy or whatnot, but sometimes we have to really think about, you know, what rides that are appropriate for children. And I think there should be more oversight at these amusement parks because we hear it. And these are not the first, deaths. There was a death in San Bernardino, I believe that's San Bernardino or Redlands, where someone died, a person died at that park before. It's since been decommissioned and shut down, and it's turned into different other venues since then. But that was many decades ago, where someone actually got hurt and died at an amusement park, and I believe it was, is it San Bernardino or Redlands, California? It was an amusement park. I think was it Pharaoh's Kingdom? It was something like that. That was so long ago. But again, we have to really start to have better oversight when it comes to these amusement parks. So getting back to the article, the operators are supposed to buckle the seatbelts for each of the ride's 6 passengers and confirm the restraints are over their lap per the manufacturer's operating manual, as passengers cannot be expected to know or correctly execute the safety procedures for this ride. And that's very true. And that's what the report stated. But I'm saying that's very true. Passengers, you have to just think outside the box. I understand that and be a little more aware of what's going on and make sure your seatbelt is fastened. But again, you can't expect them to know everything because when you get on a ride, a lot of times people think they're safe and that the operators have done everything that they're supposed to do to make sure that people come down off that ride the way they got on there safely in one piece, unharmed, um, you know, and so both operators failed to follow these procedures according to the report. The report also determined that the operators' training did not appear to emphasize the inherent risk of the ride, and that the manufacturer's operating manual does not instruct operators on how to properly address errors. And in that case, there should be someone that knows how to operate every single ride in that park. That's having oversight, okay, for safety reasons as well. And so obviously they were not they didn't have anyone I guess they could ask. So they should have really just not let the ride go until they figured it out. That's keeping everybody safe. And I would rather caution err on the side of caution for safety reasons than not just to appease people. And so the risk of the ride. They're supposed to tell you that there's risk involved in these rides. And if that's not happening, then that's a problem right there as well. So the Haunted Mine Drop is currently closed, and that was the name of the ride. And future plans for the ride are undetermined, the amusement park said. Now, safety is and always has been our top priority. Glenwood Caravans Adventure Park founder Steve Beckley said in a statement following the release of the report, since opening our first ride just over 15 years ago, Glenwood Caravans Adventure Park has delivered more than 10 million safe and enjoyable rides. And I'm going to stop right there. See, that other article, he was a Kansas state representative. And I believe this family, see, it hasn't been determined what they're going to do with this ride. But with the other ride, it's already been decommissioned. And once legal, all of the legal stuff is done, then they're going to dismantle the ride. So I think that in a case like this, there needs to be more for this family, even for the 14-year-old Tayari. That needs to happen as well. And I hope that the family does not settle just for the money and do not go farther with getting that ride shut down. But maybe so much, maybe having the operator prosecuted for manually uh, altering that seat and the straps because he shouldn't get away with that when it comes to the 14-year-old out of that was from Missouri, went to visit in Orlando to have a good time during spring break. There's got to be more oversight, government oversight, but as well as sanctions and as well as fines and holding people accountable, these operators, when they know better, they should do better. And they should be trained. And there should be someone walking around, maybe more than one person, overseeing that these rides are operating the way that they're supposed to and stepping out to check things instead of just letting it go on like this. So more than anything, we want the Estefanos family to know how deeply sorry we are for their loss and how committed we are to making sure it never happens again, he added. Um, he said they've been working closely with the Colorado Division of Oil and Public Safety and independent safety experts to review the incident, noting that the amusement park will review the report carefully for recommendations. Now, in a statement to Denver ABC affiliate KMGH, Dan Kaplis, an attorney for the Estefanos family, said that the Wongos parents had received the report and called on people who have experienced problems with the haunted mine drop to come forward. Wongos parents are determined to do everything in their power to make sure that no one ever dies this way again, said Kaplis, who told the station he intends to file a lawsuit against the park on behalf of the family. And that's all I saw. I didn't have anything current, but I just wanted to bring that out that, there's a lot of people that, children especially, that are passing away on these rides, and nothing seems um, to prevent this from happening. And so, like I said, there should be more government oversight, mandates, you know, um, sanctions, and there should be someone actually in that park. If not, making sure that these operators are, you know, being consistent when it comes to the safety measures and operating these rides, that they get the training that they need, not just show them a 5 minute or 10 minute, this is what you do. No, they need to have regular training. No one should go to an amusement park and not come back alive, or even, to the point where some of them have lived through it, but they are totally disabled and cannot function. Um, and so with that being said, please leave your comments below, respectful comments. Let me know what you think about this. Are you from that area where the 10-year-old in Kansas, or even from the area of Colorado? Let me know what your comments are. Leave them below. Don't forget to like, share. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Bye.